Okay, hello. We are going to play Beyond the Hills. I don't really know what to expect from this, so let's just jump straight in. That's cute. I like the art style. Can we go full screen? We can. Transitions, text speed, fast, that's cool. Okay, maybe turn the volume down just a little, make sure you can hear me. Go away. Go away! Okay. Okay, return. Let's start the game. Cyrene, please. His voice was tired, the deep weariness that came from constantly arguing over the same thing. Be reasonable, we just don't have the money to assist you. But you've not let me help. I have hundreds saved from selling an Amesbury, and I would gladly work for more. I will not allow my daughter to pay for her own dowry. Besides, you can let us establish roots in the clergy to supplement our foot in the door of nobility. I'm a woman, the church is held in the hands of men. The woman's father turned away from her. I've had this conversation already. I have work to do. Please remember to pick up the chiffon from Languins. The woman sighed quietly. Another day, the same argument. Silver bell rang through the shop as I pushed the door open. The young woman at the counter looked up and grinned. Cyrene, welcome. Here to pick up your father's order? Hello, Riven. Is this me? She was already in the storage room, and then back by the time I was at the table. I set my bag down and sat on the plush couch. There were no other customers in the shop during dinner hour. Slid a few coins across the table for a bundle of fabric, and Riven brought her needle and cloth to sit across from me. You don't look so good, Cyrene. Just the usual. I've never known any woman to go to the church when she's able-bodied, suitable for marriage, and has healthy parents. I have. She was especially devoted to her lord. Then it was because she wanted to follow her fate. My parents raised me with children as the most noble goal, but my father seems to believe there's a true social benefit for a woman in the church. I thought it was merely his pride covering a need for money, but my sister's marriage did give him ambition to spread our family's roots. Dowries are expensive. It makes sense that he can't support another one right after your sister. Her fingers evaded the pointed needle, where I thought they would certainly prick her. I cringed at the thought of blood staining the cloth. I know you're uncomfortable with the thought of wasting away as a nun, but it would be for the best if you dropped the subject for at least a year. If your father continues business, he must have funds set aside for you by then. Give it enough time, everyone opens at least one ear to reason. I only hope his pride does not have me shipped off by then. They're going to ship me off as a nun? That's brutal. Alright. The silver bell rang again. Turned to see a young homeless-looking man tugging a small cart through the door. His cloak was brown and tatty, but as soon as he was inside, he unclipped it and folded it up into a neat square. Underneath, he wore clean and fine working clothes, transforming his image in a single swift movement. The man stopped just inside the door next to us and brushed off his clothes. New shipments, Riv. Not on my carpet, Fjord. Fine. He threw back the cloth covering the cart, making sure the dirty cover hit the wooden floor and not the plush rug. Inside were tightly bundled rolls of fabric and a few wooden boxes. He clearly meant to load them onto the table in front of us, so I reached over to help him do it, but he grabbed my wrist to stop me. Not hard, but firmly enough to bruise. Whoa, Jesus, man. Careful, young lady. Not even the customers get to touch the goods until they're done. He let go of me, but kept his hands ready to intercept should I reach down again. Whoa, chill out, bro. With his other hand, he began tossing bundles onto the table. I pulled my hand away. My apologies, I meant to help you out. Hey, she's my friend, no manhandling here. But she swept the bundles away from me to begin sorting them, and I sensed that this was not my realm. Sorry about that. No worries, Fjord, this is Cyrene, the daughter of the antiques man down 6th. Cyrene, Fjord brings in new fabrics and materials. His father is a supplier for us. Fjord should mention the man before. One of her only male friends. He'd come across as a serious young man, often mistaken for an adult. Now that I saw him, I could understand why. His receding hairline and serious expression made him seem older, but at the same time I also felt that he could be up to no good. Like chickens, I would have hidden them right about now. Honoured. An antique shop, eh? Are you ordering for your father? No, picking something up. My sister is looking to recycle her wedding cloak into a day gown. I gestured to the single cream bundle that lay in front of me. Chiffon, horrible taste, but to her preference. What's wrong with chiffon? It looks nice in an evening gown. She wants to sew it by hand, do it wrong, and it begins to look like tulle. I do not know what that means. We offered to do it for her. The seams come apart fast if the tailor is inexperienced. Riven was wistful but resigned. My attempt at small talk seemed to be a failure, and I wondered if I had offended Fjord. Ah well, I probably wouldn't see him ever again. Why not continue blundering around awkwardly? Do you have an interest in clothing? I gestured to his nicer than usual work outfit and he shook his head. Not especially, it's just a trade and useful to change up my experience. I remembered his tatty brown cloak from when he'd walked in. Didn't you like active outfits? You ordered a really nice set a long time ago. Ah, yeah. I'll need one for hiking, though. Hiking? I leaned forward interestedly. The hills to the south of the city were considered a necessary evil to pass through to get to the heart. I had never had cause to hike up them, but I always enjoyed the way the hills looked lush and green in the spring, yellow and red in the autumn. I would have scaled them if I could. Do you go up for work or for recreation? Recreation. It's safe as long as I have a good knife, cayenne spray and reasonable camping supplies. Cayenne spray was an expensive luxury for people like us. Fjord invested more into his hobby than his face let on. Hiking sounds nice. When I was a child, I wanted to scale the highest hill before I turned 18. My birthday passed 3 months ago. This is a really cute sprite. It's not a very easy climb. Whatever you've heard about the hills is probably true, or said for good reason. Cyrene spends her time running around the city picking up goods for her father. She's in pretty good shape. Not like you, eh? Of course not. I spend all my time sitting here. Fjord took me hiking once, but I collapsed halfway up the mountain. More like at the foot of the mountain. By this point, Fjord and Riven together had finished unloading and sorting the cart's contents, but Fjord stayed, standing awkwardly. I understood his unwillingness to go back to work. This is going to come out of left field, but I'm very curious how your adult-like appearance affects... Well, are you married? No. I have no interest in romance. I'm leaving in a year anyway. What's the point in dragging around the thought of a special person when you're so far from her? Perhaps none worth the trouble, but would not be alone in leaving a lover behind for war. Oh, but you would not be alone. When he hit the entry age for the standing army, he would be gone for at least 2 years, like all our men. Our nation's conflict was more like struggles for fertile lands than wars, but regardless, they took young men away for years. Moot point. True. That's a shrewd choice, really, avoiding romance. Without illicit lover affairs, life seems so much calmer. But you want marriage, so you want to skip the courtship process and straight to bed. No! I don't know, my parents married without romance, but they became close after having children. I know it doesn't happen in every marriage, but the impression that left on me is the only guidance I have for myself. Besides, the only courtship I've ever experienced ended bitterly. Not every marriage will turn out well, and not every courtship is disrespectful and trashy. Yes, it's just hard to think of courting more after that, I think. I glanced up as the silver bell rang again, indicating a new customer. As a man opened the door, the sound of a rejuvenated street outside wafted in, as did bright sunlight. Dinner time was over, and people were back on the move for their afternoon routines. I hastily gathered up my chiffon and stood up. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but whatever. Somehow we had a conversation that wasn't entirely meaningless. I appreciate that. Nice to meet you too, Cyrene. Will you be at market tomorrow? Saturday was the only day when the town square opened to merchants without permits. While the unregulated nature of the goods made people wary shoppers, it was also a place to find great deals from traveller merchants. My father sent me there every week now that Elisa was married. Of course. So will I. There are fabrics that can only be found from afar. Riven, you want to meet up too? Sure, let's go to Avant Garden. I want to eat watercress again. Salad. What was that? Nothing. For dinner then? Yes, I'll see you tomorrow. She waved us away. The customer who had entered earlier was standing behind us impatiently. Fjord took his cart on the way out. This is a cool background. As soon as we were at the door, Fjord took his brown cloak and put it on. Then he rumpled his hair and hunched over. See you tomorrow. I waved and he headed off towards the hill we had spoken of. It would be cool to see him in his cloak, but I guess that's quite a lot of effort. But now that I saw him move in a crowd, I realised how effective his disguise was. A small bubble of space formed around his homeless appearance as people walked by him. It took a certain amount of pride to dress like that, just to move around, though it did shield his finer clothing as well. I filed the thought away and turned north side to return home, for now. Saturday was a high for the town square area, but it was also meant the streets around it were chaotic, rough, and one-way in the morning. It was always easier to move through a crowd following somebody else. I caught the trail of a man weaving through the crowd just ahead of me. As I walked towards the south, I gazed at the lush green hills that rose around the city like a crescent and wondered what it would be like to climb up there. In any case, free markets attracted people like me from the northern city, enough that merchants who passed through would stay days waiting to set up on Saturday. There were a few cafes around the town square, not many for the working class preferred to dine at home, but Avant Garden was renowned for its fine pork and chicken, coupled with spices found nowhere else. As I approached Avant Garden, I saw a tall young man with Fjord's hair standing by the door. I waved, but he didn't see me until I got close. This music's groovy. I like the music in the first part as well, by the way. It's really good. Just gonna have some water. Hello. Hi, have you seen Riven? No, there's no way I can see anyone in this crowd, but she's not one for tardiness. You want me to order first then? She sounds good. Get me a long red chili chicken. Handed him 3 coins and Fjord vanished into the shop. The outdoor tables were very empty at this time of day. I picked a seat near a sun umbrella to wait. Fjord was back almost immediately, sitting down half in the shade and half in the glowing white sun. As soon as he pulled up his chair, he brought out a deck of cards. Don't tell me you're going to ask a lady to gamble before the sun sets. Not at all. Poker? He'd already dealt the cards. You said, no bets, just playing. If a word of this gets to my father, let it be known that I only had minimal choice in the matter. But I picked up my hand. 2 sevens, 2 jacks, and an ace. Not bad. Traded in the ace and received another 7. Full house. Fjord had 2 pairs. He seemed to be thinking as he collected our hands and shuffled. Want to play with 6 cards each? It's more fun with only 2 people. Sure. Fjord dealt 6 and I picked up my hand. Hey, what do you think of William? Riven's suitor? Fjord sounded completely serious, but should I talk about my best friend's relationships with a near stranger, even if I had been given no reason to doubt him? Ooh. I'm kinda interested in his hiking. Yeah, let's be cool. Prefer not to talk about my friend's boyfriend behind her back, even if it is to a well-meaning friend. Instead, could you tell me about your hiking experiences? He seemed disappointed. Well, that's what you get, Fjord. I'm sorry. I suppose so. Probably the better choice, honestly. See, he knows. What would you like to hear? Tell me a story about something interesting that happened while you were hiking. He collected our hands, shuffled, and dealt again more slowly than before. I'm sure you've been warned of bandits in the southern hills. They make good stories to scare children away, though most people never run into them. One day, my father and I stayed out late. We travelled somewhat off-road to see the untouched greenery. The sun was setting and it was our only light. My father wanted to get back to the main trail so the city lights would be visible. We were hurrying and we made enough noise to cover up a trio of bandits moving in the trees until we heard their voices. Fortunately for me, my father knew how to make enough noise to pretend to be at least 4 different men, and he started doing it as soon as he realised there were people there. It was good that it was almost dark. He looked pretty silly dancing around. I was only 10 at the time, but even then I sensed that something was wrong, and I tried to imitate his stomping. In the end, the bandits made a huge circle around us, even going off the off-road path to pass through the trees. They thought we were more trouble than we were worth. What were they saying? They were talking about the day's loot, coins, a chest of spices, alcohol, caviar. We wouldn't have known they were bandits without their rough voices and their conversation. Later on I figured that they were heading back to their camp, and I wondered why they hadn't thought us suspicious coming from the same direction. That is kind of amazing. It is. I learned from my father how important it is to give up pride and do things that might seem silly to stay safe, although I can only make enough noise for 2 men in the woods. After that, I'd think about going up to the mountains. It was fun, and the view up there was better than anything else in the city. Fjord's story reaffirmed my desire to climb the hills, whether he intended it or not. I played another few hands in comfortable silence until Riven arrived. You kept us waiting. Fjord looked up. Riven's hair was rustled, and she was slightly out of breath. We got a surprise today, a merchant who wanted to get rid of some fabrics but missed the square opening. Haggling took longer than I thought it would, sorry. Did you at least get something good? Yes, a lot of rayon. That's good, we ordered for you already. Fjord dealt with 6 cards. Riven looked down at them and then up. Gambling? Just playing. You have to bet something to make it fun. At least bet food. Neither of us want your food, nor is it present. Then, when it arrives, for every hand I win, you 2 have to eat a spoonful of watercress each. Oh, gracious. Fjord, I hope you know how to cheat while dealing, for both of our sakes. I know how, but I'm not good at it. Well, it's time for you to hone your skills. I picked up my hand. Right then, the cafe master burst out the front door, balancing 3 large dishes on a tray. He spotted us and headed over. There were 2 long red chili chicken plates and 1 plate of fresh, limp watercress, which, to the cafe's credit, was not waterlogged or crusty. Thank you very much. The man left and I looked at Fjord. You ordered 2 spicy chicken dishes? Sounded the most delicious on the menu. I appreciate your taste in food. Then in return for Riven's bet, for every hand you or I win, Riven has to eat a block of spiced chicken. Why am I the only pivot point in the punishment here? Because if I were allowed to take Fjord's chicken too, I would count that as a reward. Actually, let us do that. Every time Fjord or I wins a hand, we take one of the other's chicken and you have to eat a piece. Somehow the stakes got really high really fast. Sounds good to me, let's play. Wait, let me eat right now, I'm hungry. Without waiting for his response, I snapped up some chicken and ate it. The long red chili spices were a luxury even without the meat. Though Riven hated the heat, it was my go-to luxury food. We ate in peace for about 20 seconds before Fjord dealt us our hands. I pursed my lips with a mouthful of chicken and held up a finger. He continued anyway. Thanks much. That's adorable. No way, did she win? Oh, that's super cute. Oh. That's a really cool art style, I like that. Hell yeah, we should do this again. Because you won a lot. Of course! Which meant you also lost a lot of your food to people who didn't want to eat it. He took a swig from his mug of ale. When it hit the table, it made a hollow, empty sound. We should have to the market soon. Are you guys done with your ale? No, though I don't want to drink anymore. Same here. Then take one more drink and I'll bring the tray back to the cafe. We did so and Fjord vanished into the cafe. He was back quickly. Then let's go. As we walked in the town square, it was clear that most trinket stalls were sold out already, but the food and fabric stalls were alive and well. Is this like a picture that's been with like an effect on it rather than a painting? I really can't tell. Must be difficult to set up a cooking stall in the middle of a market, but from the looks of their business it was well worth the investment. Hey look, bulk silk packages. Be careful of mislabeling. Let me see, how much is it anyway? Hey! Fjord appeared behind me and I leaped. Don't scare me, what do you want? You just didn't notice me. Expressed interest in hiking, didn't you? He fell into step next to me. We walked towards where Riven was. Don't know if you'd be able to handle a full day hike or get away with it, but I know a good place for a night walk that has a fantastic view of the stars and it's barely out of the city. A chill ran down my back. Do you offer this to every woman you meet? What? No, there aren't many people I'd like to hike with. How can you say that so casually? Has it occurred to you that you're inviting a girl you met yesterday to sneak out to a secluded area at night? Even though I did ask you about your hiking experiences, this invitation is too abrupt and very sketchy. I like this girl. Fjord was silent for a few steps. No, I'm not very inclined to think of romance or sketchy situations. I didn't think of it. I'm sorry. Even then, it should be common social sense. Well, you know now. He kept up my brisk pace, so he had to work a little. I could see him struggling to decide whether he wanted to jog or walk. Why are you so interested in hiking anyway? You put your luxuries away to buy cayenne spray, which is at least 3 months of income for a bottle, and hell to obtain in this city. And you go out both day and night sneaking out. It's as if you're fixated on it, running away from the city, running away from your problems here. Whoa! Savage. Don't talk like you know me enough to make that conclusion. Fjord's response was immediate and angry. I certainly don't. In that case, please don't invite me to a night excursion and we'll count it case closed. Hey! I bought a necklace. Are you guys okay? Yeah? Minor disagreement. We spoke at the same time and then avoided each other's eyes. Our trip ended soon after that. Fjord headed back to his house and Riven and I walked towards home. The curtain area had mellowed out back to a comfortable two-way stream, but I still walked a little faster than was normal. So what actually happened? Fjord seems very invested in hiking and I asked him if that was because he was running away from his problems. Truth be told, my word choice was likely unduly harsh, but it came after he asked me if I'd like to sneak out at night with him. I was defensive. Inappropriate words from a fair man. With Fjord, it's because he didn't think of addressing women differently from men. If that invitation was for a man, it would have just been friendly. I don't know if you can believe me, but I hope you can forgive him sometime. Regardless, it'll still be strained between us if we ever see each other again. But I was also at fault. I'll bring it up if I ever run into him. We reached the shop. Of course I'll speak to him about it. She turned to go inside and wave as she left. Continued on towards my house. A good day at the market meant a lot of time and coins spent, and my father was likely to send me on errands as soon as I arrived. I thought of Fjord and my words on the way back. Father, I'd like to talk to you one more time about my future. My father looked up from the stack of papers that sat in front of him. Is there anything that hasn't been said yet? I would like to know if you've already made plans with a church or shrine for my arrival. I have not. Fantastic. I would like to convince you that if it's because of dowry funds, we could wait 5 years for me to marry. In the interim, we would have a chance to gather assets. My father hesitated. His lips were tight, but unlike in many of our prior arguments, his jaw was not set. It's very difficult to marry off a woman 24 years of age. I believe in your negotiation skills. I absolutely think we can do it. If you would like, I can work hard to make connections with other women and men. Cyrene, you make it sound very natural. In reality, the terms of marriage are arduous and difficult for the groom's father and may demand whatever he wants. I tried to imagine being a mother to more daughters than sons. It was difficult. I know. I will wait as long as you need if you intend to marry me off and cooperate however I can. I'm afraid that will be too long to be reasonable for both of you and your potential suitors. Then, if there's something I can do to increase business at our store, I will consider it. My father realised he was slumping. He never slumped, and sat up. Truly, what do you hate about the clergy? It is a safe place for women and a comfortable life. So this is not about moving up or connections? When I attend Mass, I watch the church mothers. Many seem ambivalent. Many seem tired and reluctant. Only one looks happy, and she is the church mother who left against her family's will because she truly loved the faith. I will consider it, but I really do think that setting roots in the church will have benefits for us. At the very least, it will be an easy life for you. I must go through these bills now. He waved me away, and I turned to leave the room. Thank you for listening. Progress, though not enough. 2 mornings later, I'd left the house on a particularly long trip across the city. You can do lower than that. We've been doing business with you for years. Have heart and cut it down to 1400. Mission was an antique instrument from a pawn shop. Thank you. Have a fantastic day. And a successful mission it was. Loot was beautiful, with curves unlike any I'd ever seen in a trooper's instrument. Strangely, it was built to be played sitting down. The walk was 2 hours back, and I thanked the stars the loot was not too heavy. My trek took me only through the better parts of the city, but it wasn't an odd sight to see a few ragged or displaced people. That was why I didn't think twice about a man in a brown cloak trudging along the side of the road until I realised that I'd seen him before. Fjord! He must have recognised my voice, for he hesitated in his next step and took 2 more before he looked behind him warily. I hurried to catch up to him when he sighed and unclipped his cloak, shaking it out before folding and tucking it into his pocket. What? I don't know if you'd be willing to accept my apology, but for what it's worth, I'm sorry for using such harsh words last time we met. All right. He seemed surprised, but somewhat mollified, and we walked in silence for minutes. I noticed that his pace was not as brisk as it had been. Hope you're not sorry for calling me out on an inappropriate invitation. Oh, I definitely am not. I'll stand by that one, though I didn't have to attack you personally. Yes, sometimes I need others to tell me when I'm overstepping social boundaries because I'm bad with them. Another silence. The road was getting wider, but that meant more carriages. That's why I gave up trying to climb the social ladder. Ah, well, that's an uphill battle for a man to begin with. It was a pipe dream, to say the least. The silence between us was less awkward then, and we walked peacefully for another few minutes. I wasn't used to a man being this quiet, and I enjoyed it. What brings you to the south side? I patted the bag at my side, running errands for my father from a supplier. Walking down here alone? That doesn't seem very safe. I've lived here all my life. I'm sure my father made certain this area was safe enough for me to go. Yet even women who go to market for groceries are wary of theft. Whatever is in that bag must be worth hell's more. Yes, but I've been doing this for a long time, so I don't think about this much anymore. It's important to stay safe. I'll walk you halfway back if you like. Procrastinating on your work? I immediately regretted the joke, for it seemed to remind of our last encounter, but Fjord only laughed. Everyone does it. Escorting a pretty lady across town is certainly one of the better reasons. I've had better. 4 of a man's chickens ran in our front door once. I spent 10 minutes trying to catch them and had a bandaged arm for weeks. Unbelievable. The difference between a city boy and a country one, eh? I might just take a break in a minute. As we walked, the area around us changed from a residential one to a main street, and I was grateful for that. There were more ordinary people outside here, and it would only be for a few minutes' walk to the town square. Do you want to stop by a cafe and grab something sweet? How long have we been walking? 30 minutes at least, that's fine, but I don't have much money on me. I'll pay then. What kind of cake do you like? I don't eat much cake, so anything that isn't too sweet. Sat down in the outdoor cafe that nearly blended into the street, and Fjord brought over a white cream cake dusted with brown powder. What's that? Banana cream cake with cocoa? It came really fast. They don't make them on order. I'll be waiting here another hour. He handed me a fork and I drove it through the cake on its side, dividing the pastry in 2. Pushed the larger half towards him. He didn't protest. Tell me if this is inappropriate to ask. I think we're okay now, but in any case, was I at least partially correct? About what? You running away from the city? Kind of. He savoured a forkful of cake, making a euphoric expression. He didn't continue, so I ate some myself. Cake melted in my mouth, not too sweet and not too fluffy. It was fantastic. You have superb taste in food. Thank you. My family's kind of messed up. How so? My dad introduced me to hiking to get away from my mum. I see. They drive each other insane. My father has a mistress and my mother has another lover. We're not even sure if my little sister is from my dad. Are you sure you're comfortable telling me this? I wouldn't have said it if I wasn't, unless you're uncomfortable with it. If you're okay with saying it, then I would gladly listen. That's pretty much it. So yes, you're partially right, but I also like hiking for the view and the exercise. So I imagine I'd like to go up there one day for that. I don't think you would appreciate my invitation from before, but I would enjoy hiking with you one day. We should go, with Riven. We'll find a way to get out. In the daytime, of course. You'd need to know how to hike safely and wear better clothes than what you have on now. I don't want to be responsible for anyone getting hurt, unless it's in self-defense. I don't know about Riven, but I'll absolutely try to do that if it means I can go hiking someday. Well, we'd better go soon. Today? No, in the next few months. I'm leaving for the army in less than a year. You don't want to go, do you? I don't really care either way. The only thing in the city I think I'm leaving behind for 2 years is Riven. And maybe you too. You're pretty cool. Oh. Cake was diminishing and I was slowly getting tired of the sweet taste in my mouth. I ate more slowly from then on. What about your family? Is it dysfunctional? Not really. My parents are good parents, but we have some disagreements. My future is one. Want to talk about it? My brother raised me to desire family, but my father seems to want me to become a nun. Why? We spent a lot on my older sister's marriage to a low noble. He can't marry me off to someone respectable with what's left. Well, on the bright side, he isn't willing to marry you off to scum, for certain. It's just that I really do not want to become a church mother. I believe in the faith, but it would go against my selfish dream to have children in this world. Marriage isn't something you need to rush into right now. Why not build up your dowry for a few years and enjoy you can with men freely? Most husbands wouldn't allow their wives to cross the city with another man. I was just thinking that on today's walk. I said to my father that I'd be willing to wait many years to marry so we can collect funds and assets, but I'm even starting to want it for myself. Then it works out, doesn't it? As long as you can convince him not to ship you off to a church. Yeah, basically, but it's left me confused as to what I've been wanting for the last few years, the dream I live for. Put my fork down. My half of the cake was gone now, but though Ford had gotten the bigger piece, he had finished long before me. Want to continue? Truth be told, I'd rather rest here for a few moments longer, but if you must be on your way. I came out here to procrastinate, Cyrene. Fantastic. I don't know, marrying off children has really worn down my father, and he nearly never has free time outside his work and his family. Perhaps I should cherish my freedom while I can. Should we head off? Sure. Alright. I'm going to save. I think that's how you save. Cool. I think I'm going to take a break for now, because I'm getting tired of reading. But this seems really cool. Good job. I really like your game. It's awesome. And, I don't know, hope you got something out of watching me play. I mean, I didn't really do much choice making yet. I don't know if... Doesn't seem like there's much to choose, but maybe there's more later on. So, depending on how much stuff I have to play, I might come back and play some more of your game. But I hope this was useful anyway.